So I want to talk about something that if you really begin to understand this concept and that you apply it to your life, that you really critically think retrospectively, introspectively into your life on how this has affected you, then I believe that you will go a far, long way in your life. And I say this because recently, as of late, from people I have interacted with, from just people on the internet, as well as just everybody that believes that they have an opinion or a perspective on their life situation, whether it's a very personal situation or whether it's a bigger topic, then I believe that if you really have have presence of mind to understand this, then you will go far in life. Now, what I'm talking about is perspective. There's this tale or this folk tale, right, where a grandpa basically pours rocks, like huge rocks, into a glass jar, asks the kid, hey, do you think this jar is full? And the kid says, yes, it's full, with these big stones all piled in there. And then he goes and takes little pebbles, pours it in there, and it just kind of goes through all the big stones, right? It's filling up. And then it looks full. And he asked the kid, is it full? And the kid says, yes, it's full. Now it's full. And then the grandpa goes and pours sand into this glass jar and then asks the kid again, hey, now is it full? And the kid hesitantly says, I guess it is. Yeah, now it's got to be full now. And then the grandpa takes a glass of water one more time. He pours it in there and then says, is this full now? And then the boy finally says, I really think it's full now. And it was, right? And so the story there is that not everything is as it first appears. You look at it, you think it's full, but it's not. And if you keep an open mind, if you allow yourself to see the bigger picture, the full understanding that there's complexity, there's richness in a situation, in a mindset, and not prematurely concluding based on your observation, your perspective, then you will go a long way. The same goes for when you are in any aspect of life, whether it's somebody who's gone before you and they've experienced something that you're currently going through right now, whether it's in the army, somebody higher than you that has a strategic layout of the enemy's camp and what you've got to do. They tell you, hey, go march from here to there. Hey, go do this mission, go do that. And you as a soldier, you're sitting there, well, I don't know why I've got to do this. It sounds stupid. You have a narrow perspective. You don't know why. And you're asking these questions rather than obeying. The same goes in the corporate world. I've worked in consulting. I've had the experience to be able to, from a top-down perspective, advising C-suite executives on what to do. I'll never forget one of the projects I've done was making a bunch of recommendations on moving teams, firing teams, switching things around, their team structure. And a lot of people, they don't understand why it is that they had to move from this department to that department, why they had to get, sadly laid off, why they had to shift their status quo, right? Shaking them up to do other things when the bigger picture was to improve certain processes, certain standards, certain technologies so that you can be more nimble and agile and these things, right? And so the same goes there, whether you are in a corporate structure, a military structure, whether you have a mentor, whether you have somebody who's further along in life, they have a different vantage point and they've seen these other things and they're telling you because they have information, because they have something that not everybody, based on their narrow view of some circumstance, they don't understand these things. So if you really begin to see and take a step back, humble yourself and say, Lord, in all aspects of my life, where is it that I am so gung-ho about coming to a premature, preconceived notion about something, as opposed to stepping back and saying, Lord, what is it that may be going on here? I don't have the full story, the full picture. And I say this because in this day and age, all these Christians, all these believers, and just people in general, they are yelling and talking to people about, it shouldn't be that way. You got to do it this way. And you have these backseat drivers, many people, when other people that have been in that position of power, of influence, they have a deeper, more full story of the circumstance and the situation. They're saying things from a perspective, even if they're not that loud, even if they're not saying it in somewhat of a believable and even persuasive way. They have the experience and knowledge to tell you something. But because people, many of us, We go forth, we get ahead of ourselves. And all of this at the big picture level relates to us and God. God knows everything. He knows what's best for us. He knows what's going on. He knows who he's given authority, power, a responsibility, a stewardship over something, and they know something. God is with them. God is using them. But all the, small guys that don't really know what's going on, they're talking up a storm. They're saying things out of, just their own flesh, quite frankly, missing the point and not understanding the bigger picture of what's going on. And so I'm saying this because if you really begin to put yourself in that situation to say, you know what, logically, it doesn't make sense. I see the big rocks. I see the pebbles. It looks full. It looks like it's good. But you forget that from a volume perspective, there's still space there. The same goes for any movement in society, maybe a military decision, maybe a media decision, whatever is going on, whether it's at the big picture level of world stuff, or whether it's at your family, your life circumstance level, all these things. And so I'm saying this because we need to sharpen our discernment. We need to come before the Lord. We need to humble ourselves. We need to ask and say, Lord, even if I don't see the full picture, that I would not be in an arrogant and prideful position to be speaking out of turn and from a narrow perspective. So love you guys. Just want to encourage you guys with this. Talk to you guys very soon.